Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I want to know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Monday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday. Mindset Monday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today we are talking about high-performing Black athletes and anxiety. High-performing athletes, Black athletes and anxiety. But before I bring on my guest, Dr. Micheal Jones, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? Look, I already see Miss Jones in here. Latressa already. Before we even got started, she was like, I can't wait for the show. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. I'm loving all the love. My godmom Corliss, happy belated birthday. Appreciate you being here and the support. Brooksville in the house. Thank you. Master Key, winner, I miss you. I love you. I'm glad to see you here. Tell my god baby I said hey. Latanya Smith in Atlanta. Thank you for being here, sis. Cousin Raymond in VA. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And my mom in Miami. Thank you for being here, mama. All right, we got Nick Rains, my Singles Mingles co-host. Actually, Nick was the one that connected me and Dr. Jones, so appreciate you. I got him on here now. Nick. So tell the people they need to be here in here. So y'all tell them, tag a friend, let them know, like, share. Let them know they need to be here. This is going to be a great conversation. Thank you, Cousin Denise. Appreciate you being here. Mr. Johnny Johnson in Daytona. Thank you, Johnny. And Ozzy. How you doing, my friend? Ozzy Daniel in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Actually, Ozzy had us on last Monday, talking about adaptation, the audacity of adaptation, which was really great. And actually, I shared those nuggets today on Hallelujah 95.3, my Mike Cork and Friends radio show this morning. So we had a carryover. So thank you, Ozzy, for all that you do. See you, Miss Tracy Golay. Appreciate you. And we got Mr. Warren Cave in the house in Tallahassee. Thank you so much for being here, Warren Cave. So today, before we get started, y'all, it's Founders Day for FAMU. So I got my pom-pom. Woo! Go Rattlers! Yes. Celebrating 135 years. Any Rattlers in the house? Throw up some orange and green hearts. Throw that snake up. Let me see you in the comments. Any Rattlers in the house? Let me know. It's been an exciting day. I've been celebrating FAMU virtually, just, checking out people's posts on social media and whatnot. So we are just proud to bleed orange and green, and that Rattler pride just shines through and through. So appreciate y'all all, and so glad I'm from FAMU. One of the best decisions I made in my life. All right, so as folks are coming on, hey there, Mr. Larry, thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and read my bio for my guest, Mr. Dr. Micheal Jones. He is a psychology professor, or has been a psychology professor at St. Leo University. He was there from 2016 to 2018, Trinity College in 2020, and currently at Pasco Hernando State College from 2012 to present. He has coached middle school basketball, football, and track. and field. He's coached high school basketball. He has been the middle school athletic director. He's won sportsmanship awards. He's also done some college basketball coaching for Pasco Hernando State College Region 8 champions in 2021 during COVID, which is quite commendable. He has also written several articles, Coaches Insiders. He's had an article on recruiting tips, also tips on athletes talking to fans, as well as in the Mental Health Talk magazine. He's done an article on talk sports and performance in mental health, and I'll get those articles on the Facebook page so you all can check those out. But quite accomplished and is an athlete. I mean, a former athlete. So who better to hear from sports psychologist who is also an athlete as well. So y'all help me welcome Dr. Micheal Jones.
How's it going?
Going well, going well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So tell the peoples, who is Dr. Micheal Jones? Not what you do, but who is Micheal Jones?
Just an old country boy that just love athletics and just had a knack for a high level of intelligence in athletics and just love what I do. So that's pretty basically who I am. If anybody knew me, they know I like to eat a lot or play sports. So we're now just coaching and doing sports psychology. So that's me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now tell us a little bit about your story, because you got a Tallahassee connection, right?
Yeah. So I was in Tallahassee for a little bit. So I was an athlete at Pasco Hernando State College, and then I transferred to Florida State. So I was what you would call a middle. How do I want to say it? I was a post player, but undersized. So I tried to be a post player at Division I, and not understanding the business side. And then when I was an athlete, but now once I tried out, that was the first time I got cut. So I had the experience, not being on a basketball team or in athletics for a short period of time, which was very difficult, but it gave me the opportunity to become a coach. So and long story short, I was able to have a longer coaching career than I did as an athlete. So I was real ecstatic and happy about that. But God was the one that take me away and brought me back to basketball. So I really enjoyed the journey.
Okay. All right. So from Brooksville.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. And did you play as a child?
Yes, shucks. I played ever since I was born. I was kind of baptized in it, if you want to call it.
Since I was born. Really, sir?
Yeah, I was baptized in it. So my dad used to have a travel team, and I used to be and I was in diapers, so I would go and watch him play when I was young.
You remember that?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay.
We would get into a van, my grandmother's van, and all of his high school or college buddies would come and play, and they would travel and they would go and play, and I would go and watch. Now I would be playing up under the bleachers, but while I'm playing, I would get bits and pieces and watch. I was like, man, they can really play. Mm-hmm. And they were pretty good.
Okay. Nice. All right. So how did you get involved in sports psychology?
I kind of stumbled on it, to be honest with you.
All right.
So I actually was an MIS in real estate major at Florida State. And I thought I was going to go into, technology and IT, and I did for a little bit, but my passion was athletic. So I just thought about getting an education in athletics. So when I started, it all started in teaching PE and coaching the very first time in 2005. So once I did that, then I started getting almost every athletic degree that I possibly could get. So my first athletic degree was a master's degree in athletic administration. Mm-hmm. And then after I got that, I got a second master's in sports psych. And then I just stumbled on and said, you know what, let me just go ahead and get a doctorate in sports psych. And I did. So
Wow.
So that's kind of how it happened.
Okay. Very good. All right. So somebody said that you were baptized in it, Dr. Jones.
That's correct.
Okay. There you go. All right. Well, that's so again, you have a background and a love for the game, correct?
That is absolutely right.
Why you love the game, son?
Well, for me, it was different. I think now, if you think about this, like when I watch basketball, I was always watch like my dad play. I would watch like the NBA and stuff, but I was not very, big on it when I was a kid because I didn't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so in the store of me getting cut and that process and then coming back, I read a book called by Robert Raines on the story of Dr. James Naismith. And once I understood like the purpose behind what basketball was all about, and it was all about teaching people about who Christ was. And once I understood that, that gave me another opportunity to not only do what I love, but now I could do it from another capacity like ministry. So that is why I kind of love the game. Now, what you see on TV and how we portray what that looks like is totally different, obviously, because we got away from that. But
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the main reasons of why I do it now.
Okay. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right, very good. Well, for those of you who are new to the live, we are here with Dr. Micheal Jones getting ready to talk about high performing Black athletes and anxiety. High performing Black athletes and anxiety. But before we dive into this conversations, I have got to read my disclaimer, which is that Conversations with Nicole, all topics past, present, and future on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program, which means you still need to go get your checkup from the neck up. We want you to connect with a clinician, all right? And Dr. Jones is a clinician, correct?
That's correct. I'm still a registered and licensed intern with the Department of Health. So
Okay.
you are correct.
All right. And you are still taking clients, correct?
I do.
All
Yes.
right. High performing athletes.
Yes.
All right. And you do telehealth?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So y'all heard that. So for folks that are in Florida, he is available to meet with you. All right. So we'll give out his information at the end. All right. So let's dive in. Let's dive in. All right. We got FAMU and FSU. Yes, Courtney. And it's a very necessary conversation. Thank you for having to talk about our pleasure. Our pleasure. All right. So high performing Black athletes. How do we want to define that? How would you define a high performing Black athlete?
um, that's a loaded question.
All right. Well, let's
Most
unpack it.
Yeah, most high performing Black athletes um, play or compete, no matter what the sport is, under stress and pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the level of pressure, well, I tell you what, on top of the level of pressure, there's also trauma probably associated with it,
Okay.
where that whatever the situation they come from, I always say the greater the trauma, the better the athlete.
Mm.
um, Based on the level of stress. If you take like Ray Lewis, for example, um, his trauma and his situation with somebody putting his hand on his mom, what drove him to be one of the greatest football players that played in the NFL.
Mm.
But that was because of the stress that he dealt with as a child. That made him want to be, great, because it wasn't to be the greatest football player. He just wanted to be big and strong to keep people from putting hands on his mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I mean, I always said that the greater the trauma and stress, the probably the most, and it's not always measured by their success or the highest level. But if you watch them compete, they don't need motivation because they're already self motivated by whatever trauma or anxiousness that they're dealing with.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So let me just pause real quick. So for the viewers, this is an interactive live. Again, for those of you who are new to the space, This is a safe space for us to communicate and express ourselves with one another. And so I'm throwing this first question out here relative to, do you know any high performing Black athletes, or are you a high performing Black athlete, or were you a high performing Black athlete at some point in your life? Give me a thumbs up or a hand or a church finger. Let me know. Do you know any high performing Black athletes, or were you a high performing Black athlete? Because what Dr. Jones just described, you know, trauma can motivate people, right? It can motivate you to do maybe above and beyond, or something that you would not maybe normally do, right? That's what I heard you say. I thought,
That's right. That's
yeah.
right.
So it can be a motivation.
Right. And it can have its drawbacks where, um, where it's not always successful in the end.
It's not
Because
always positive.
correct, because they may, have a lot of failures with it.
Mhm.
Or if you, I hate to use these pro athletes as an example, but if you look at Ricky Williams, um, Ricky Williams was a great athlete, but the trauma he dealt with as a child, caused him to probably be a great athlete. But then the trauma was so great that he had to take time away from the game
Mm.
because of he didn't know how to deal with it. And
Mhm.
most of the time in the Black community, we don't seek out mental health.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you talked about pressure and that being a big thing, a big issue as it relates to high performing athletes. So let's talk about that.
Sure.
You and I talked about those pressures and what that might consist of. So for a Black athlete specifically, what do you see, or what have you seen as some of the pressures that they are under?
Well, for example, so my first year, well, I won't say the first year, but the year that I was successful as a college coach, we went probably 19 or 17 and 10, and we went
Mhm.
to the Final Four in Region 10. But I had a young man, and for confidentiality, I won't say his name, but
Right.
he he was a great athlete, but we got him, I would say, by happenstance, by mistake. We was at an open gym and we were able to recruit him. And now when we signed him, he was ineligible, so we couldn't sign him at the time. And
Mhm.
then it took all the way almost up till when summer was over, he got eligible and we were able to sign him. That
Mhm.
young man was a great athlete, but he didn't know who his father was.
Mhm.
And then after one game we had, I was driving in the van. We was driving back, and I said, where's your dad? Is he coming to watch play? Because we were playing in his hometown. He said, I don't even know who my dad is. And he said,
Mhm.
and I was at the stoplight, and he said, you the closest thing I got to a daddy.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to do with that.
Right.
I mean, I'm driving home. I'm driving the team home. I don't know what to do with that.
Mm.
And so when he's saying that, I don't. You now realize, like, at that moment, everything you're doing, he is riding on your coattail based on every move you make while he's here.
Mm. My
And
goodness.
so, he has, a lot of siblings. So him making it versus somebody that got everything, of both
Mhm.
parents, and they got all this support, and they don't have nothing to worry about. But this kid, every day he wakes up, he's going to the gym, whether if you ask him or not, because he's depending on this to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh, that's heavy. That's
Yeah.
heavy. That's heavy. That's heavy. Wow. And not only for him, but also for you to some extent.
Yeah, and now there now that was a while back. Now he's a lot older, so he's working now. I still communicate with him and make sure he's doing all right, and he's doing okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you just never know, like, what athletes are dealing with when it
Right.
comes to competition. and
Right.
and I will say, in some of his games, he was very aggressive, very want to fight back, and
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
again, when you the best athletes to watch is when they don't have nothing to lose or they don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
On your best game, they can have a worse night and they're still gonna play better than you just because of the level of motivation that they have is going to be a little bit different than yours.
Yeah,
They're unconditionally hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, unconditionally hungry. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would definitely describe it. I'm taking notes as I'm
No, go ahead. That's fine.
yeah. But we do have some comments coming in. So,
Okay.
Nick said, "Great points, Dr. Jones. I was having a conversation with a friend about athletes that come from a comfortable lifestyle sometimes have to find motivation and drive versus those coming from trauma."
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Due to them playing to change their environment and socioeconomic status. Very true. So a lot of folks are chiming in saying the drive, unconditionally hungry. Yes, so true. The drive, indeed. Yeah, so that's very good points. Very good points. So that's part of the pressure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to think that's probably I don't know the probability, but that's probably like 1 out of every 10 to 15 athletes.
Mm.
And they all come in all shape, forms, and sizes.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter how big they are.
Yeah.
But the bigger the trauma, the bigger the stress and pressure, the greater the athlete. See, people like that, you don't have to ask to get to the gym at 5 a.m. You don't have to ask them to, be to practice on time. They're gonna beat you there because when they don't have a home, they're not going back to that.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, that again makes a whole lot of sense. Hadn't really thought about it that way, but yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense. So, wow. So we have seen, the onset of student athletes that are real young, that are maybe going to pro without finishing college, heck, without even going to college. Some of them, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, from high school to pro, from college to pro, that's a big step. And that's a whole nother world.
It is. I'm not sure if that, excuse me, is the right direction as a athletic culture is the way to go, because most of the time every athlete at a young age are not that mature. Now, they're gifted,
right?
But that doesn't mean that's going to also carry over when that sport is over, when they go out in society and do life. It's a totally different prime example. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was a great athlete and very freakish athlete at a young age, but everybody wanted to see the fighter. But then when the ring was over, it was hard for him to conduct himself. And it took him a while, right? But everybody wants to see the talent.
Yeah.
But then nobody wants to accept the trauma that goes along with what he had.
Yeah, no, very good points. Again, you're bringing up some things that I just didn't really think about, but it makes a whole lot of sense. And though these people are skilled, it does not equate to maturity, right?
Exactly.
So my sister, who is a sports fan, okay,
Oh,
she's
really?
down in South Florida. She loves everything Miami, okay?
Oh, really?
Everything Miami. The Hurricanes, the Dolphins, the Heat, the Marlins, everything Miami. She said they are definitely not mature. All right. Nick said, I think the balance those coming from trauma have to find is how do you balance success and still maintain that drive? Sometimes they have to develop character to not lose their success. Yes, absolutely agree.
Yep.
So, how do like you as a coach, how do you get them to think about that? Yeah, they are these high performing athletes that now are saying, "I'm gonna go pro." How do you get them to think about reconsidering that because maybe the maturity isn't there?
it's very difficult to talk. Okay, let me before I say that, every decade, no matter what the sport is, it evolves or changes, right? It changes. The rhythm, how they do it, it changes. So understanding, this new generation, okay, we call them millennials, right? But how do you get a millennial to listen? It's very hard, because the instant gratification, I guess, I call them YouTube scholars. They watch YouTube and they think after watching a few YouTube videos, they become
Go
more
pro.
than a coach, right? That and then they would rather listen to their peers than they would to a real, accomplished, coach, no matter what sport that may be. And some will listen to a coach, but very few. And that's what's happening in today. You got athletes now that want to be the coach instead of being coachable. Right. So it's very hard.
Yeah. So my sister, she's a teacher.
Uh-huh.
And she says that she has football players in her class who she can't imagine jumping into the pros straight out of high school. They definitely need some life coaching.
Well, not only that, they won't. Well, I remember the year when they had Maurice Claret and I think it was Michael Williams that was at University of Southern California. They wanted to go into the NFL after 1 year of college. Well, the NFL wouldn't allow them to because physically they wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Their bodies didn't mature enough.
Right.
We're not talking about the mindset. We're not talking about do they understand the business. No, the physical part. They weren't physically ready. So for them to even consider going to the NFL that young is just, you talking about dangerous, very dangerous. So yeah, they're not ready.
Not ready. So, you and I again talked about student athletes, especially on the collegiate level, and how they, may want to leave the university that they're at for opportunities, because on the when they get to college, it's sort of like an even playing field, right?
Yes. So to bring light to what you're saying, so everybody, let's say we're at University of so and so, right? Everybody's on ground zero, meaning nobody's guaranteed to start, nobody's guaranteed anything. You have to earn it. So every day you go to practice, and in most schools they're practicing. When I say practice, it's in a form of practice. So it's like 3 to 4 times a day on top of you studying. Every time you do that, you got to beat out, whether if it's your roommate or your teammate, you got to beat them out for that position. If not, you're going to be watching them play instead of yourself. And you got to be willing to deal with that. And that's stress right there. That's stress and pressure right there. Yes. So, but you have to know that, but you're just not guaranteed to just automatically just start. I mean, heck, a coach can make you start and then hit the buzzer and make you sit the rest of the game.
Yeah.
If you just want to start so bad, but it's not all about starting. It's about fulfilling a role and being successful for that role. But again, that's kids' mindsets are different. They would rather start than play the whole game. Or they would rather be on a Division I roster and never play versus going to a Division II or III school and play all their 4 years just to say that they went Division I.
Right.
That's how mentally, far away from what they really need to know versus, this is better for you. This going to this school is going to be better for you.
Okay. Nick said that this world of instant gratification and perceived overnight success has minimized the actual work ethic and consistency it takes to go to the next level.
He is definitely correct.
Okay. I agree. Courtney said, per my husband Terrell, he greatly supports the notion of unconditional hunger for the game His personal experience taught him that not listening to the coach is a sign of immaturity that can be costly. Then there's the shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, yeah. Knowing their fit is important, indeed, indeed, indeed. And so I want to circle back just a little bit to talk about, I call it the family meal ticket, which
Mm-hmm.
is that the athlete is expected to help, bring the family up because, they'll be going pro and getting all this money, having these contracts, that sort of thing. But before we do, I want to just pause real quick for those of you who may be just joining us. I'm on with Dr. Micheal Jones. He is a sports psychologist based in Brooksville, Florida, and we are talking about high performing Black athletes and anxiety. High performing Black athletes and anxiety. So, yeah, let's circle back. So, meal ticket, you talked about, like you said, this particular student athlete that you had, no father, number of siblings, but is trying to get out, right? Trying to get out
Right.
of the situation, the circumstance, and be the breadwinner, if you will,
Right.
for that family. Also, you experienced in your coaching or with even some of the athletes um, that you have counseled?
Mhm.
You have you seen parents trying to live through their children?
Oh my gosh. You see that through youth sports,
Mm,
school sports, and beyond. And it's becoming a real epidemic. Um the new trend now is that you see parents coach their child not only in youth league, also now in school sports. And I understand somewhat of why they do it.
mm-hmm,
You don't have your coach that was coach slash your counselor, your teacher, your daddy and mom, your wardrobe buddy. You
mm-hmm,
don't have coaches like that anymore. So when you try to send your child to a school and then the coaching dynamics have changed, not that they have to be all those things, but if you have a school that has a lot of coaching turnover, well, it makes it very hard to send your child there and to see if they're going to get the right coaching tool that they should when they go through all 4 years of high school.
mm,
So parents are now that may have a coaching background want to step in and start coaching. I don't recommend you do it because nobody's going to be the Coach Carter, Samuel Jackson, where you're not going to compromise your position for your child as a coach.
mm-hmm.
Because again, if I'm a coach and I got to coach my son in high school, well, he's going to have to be, I'm going to be extra tough on him because everybody's watching to see if there's going to be any preferential treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So we can both sit and say that, that's not always going to be the case,
Right.
especially when it comes to whether it be high school, travel ball, AAU, you name it. I can probably almost guarantee you that if a parent's coaching a child, there's going to be some uncompromising situation. I
Mm-hmm.
don't recommend it. Now, I had the pleasure of coaching my nephew at college, right? But I never jeopardized my coaching and uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came in the gym, I'm coach.
Right.
And then when we outside the gym, I'm uncle.
Gotcha. Okay. So
But everybody can't do that.
yeah. So differentiating those roles.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Kendra is on. Hey Kendra. She said, how is this different from parents who do this on the scholastic side?
Are you talking about parents that are coaching at the college level?
I think she may be saying, I guess maybe on an academic level, maybe your parent is your teacher. Kendra, give us a little more clarity on that in terms of what you're talking about. Give us some clarity. Yeah, and that can get yeah, if you can't differentiate. Look at he's shaking his head.
I don't recommend it. It's just at some point there's going to be some uncompromising situation. And when you put a coaching rule in, you got to stick by it, because once you start bending the rules, here we go. And you don't want not one parent to get a wind of that. There's going to be trouble all over the place.
All right. Yolanda said she's definitely a coach for her children academically. Okay. Johnny said Sanders. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he's giving an example. Johnny, give us some more clarity. Nick said, I definitely see more parents that seem to be coaching to make sure their child receives a scholarship or notoriety, sometimes not investing enough in the other players. Okay.
Right.
Kendra said, nah, parents are involved in student success by sending them to the best schools, etc., just like parents intervene in athletics side, in the athletic side. Okay. Johnny circled back and said prime time. So he's talking about Dion.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: parents have to know their place, and I think every parent, if they have a child that's a freakish or great athlete, they need to make sure they talk to people in the right capacity. So, like for instance, you have what you call now the name and image and likeness rule, where student athletes can be paid by a third party while they're in either high school or college or what have you. I recommend that parent, not knowing, they need to talk to a sports lawyer and how that affects them in terms of if they get hurt, whether they transfer school, they need to know the fine print. Every parent can't afford a sports lawyer, but they need to be aware of who they can talk to, whether they need to go to an athletic director or what have you. But that's the problem. Everybody, the way sports and the dynamics are now, K through 12 sports are becoming recreational, and all your travel ball is becoming more of the precedent as we continue to get into the future. And I see it a lot on the basketball side because I'm on the basketball side. So you see a lot more prep school, academy, and travel ball becoming more precedent than your traditional high school sports. And there's a lot of, money under the table, obviously, with that. But it's not always this one-all solve-all for every athlete. Because again, it's different when a university sends you to an academy versus me paying out of my pocket and sending you to the same school. Well, if I'm paying out of pocket, you're going to be a needle in the haystack. And the reason why I'm saying that is because being on the college coaching side as a business, those 4-year schools at the big level, they're recruiting 8-10 years out. They already know if that kid is going to be the top player in middle school before they even get to high school. So if your baby is playing with so-and-so that's ranked 15th or 10th in the country, that doesn't mean they're going to university so-and-so as well. They're not. Because they've been looking at this kid for 8 years. Because these coaches get paid to win. They get paid to win. If they don't win, they go home. So, they live out of a suitcase. Because if they don't win, they got to go to the next job.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and you see how pro athletes have agents. These college coaches have agents to get these jobs. That's the only way they can get them. I mean, how can you get fired this week and then you turn around next week you're a coordinator somewhere? Well, you got an agent. That's how they do it. But they live that lifestyle. And I tell you what, having a family doing that, very rare, because most of them wind up in divorce because they're never home.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've heard stories from coaches where they had to stop coaching because they missed year 1 through 21, and now they got to catch up.
Oh wow.
Well, you can't catch up.
No, time is gone. That's one thing you're not gonna get back is time.
Exactly, but that's the nature of the beast when you're, a high level Division I coach. I'm not saying that's how everyone, but it's just very hard on families when doing that. Very hard.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, we have Nick Maddox on here. Nick played for FSU, and
Yes, sir. Nick could run that ball.
yeah. So I hope he can give some insights. That I remember when I wanted to go into coaching, Coach Bowden asked me if I wanted a family. I told him yes, and he said, "Well, if you coach for me, you'll spend 18 hours in the office." Wow. All right.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Nick. I had a coach from Oklahoma State talk to me about they gave the players off, and he was home and he got a phone call from the head coach. Said, "Hey, what are you doing?" He said, "Well, we off." He said, "No, the players off. You got to come in the office. You're never off.
Wow.
Never."
Yeah, he said I chose not to coach. All right, we got Michael Cork, my good friend. He said, "Hey, Mike, how you been?"
Big Mike, what's going on? I used to work for his wife.
Oh, Sherelle. Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. So that was the morning show that I was referencing earlier. Mike Cork has a morning show. He's about to celebrate 1 year.
Nice.
November 15th. So yeah, I'm a fan and a friend of the show.
Nice.
All right. Courtney Edwards Randolph says, so does this take the joy out of the game, coaching, and how does it affect the coach mentality?
You talking about, she must be talking about what you have to do to win.
Right.
It can. I think that's why they have a lot of these services now. I think one of them, they have a lot of these marriage services now, like Living the Life is one that we just learned about. FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, that I'm a part of. They also have a marriage ministry component to keep these coaches' families intact, because there's a lot of pressure on coaches to win. If not, you got to understand, you providing for your family as a coach, and then if you lose, well, you got to find another job. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
As a coach. So it can take the fun out. I would say this as a coach, what's taking the fun out of athletics now is that you're starting to see moral and ethics of the sport going out the window because of the money coming in more. And you're seeing it more now coming in through college and K through 12. And that's what's taking the fun out.
Gotcha. Okay. Ishmael, my freshman classmates, he said those are referred to as crystal ball moments. Once dropped, it can't be put back together. Family suffering, a terrible side effect of intensive coaching. Yes. All right. Cork said he had to stop coaching because of the amount of time needed. It's beyond winning. You become a para-parent.
Yes.
Hadn't heard that term before, but para-parent.
Yeah, you give up a lot. My wife used to ask me, like, when we gonna take a vacation? When we going here? And I'm gonna tell you, like, being a coach is almost no different than being an athlete. Like, you depending on your body to get up and perform every day. Like, when you can't be late, and these kids, when they come to practice, got to be on time. So for 12 years straight, I was coaching college basketball. I only missed, and I shouldn't have missed it, but I only missed because I had COVID. I haven't missed any games out of 12 years except when I had COVID. Because you can't miss.
Yeah.
You can't.
Can't miss.
Huh.
Yeah. Gotcha. So Mrs. Jones is putting in a plug. She said, all right, Court, put Mike on the show. Put him in the game, Coach. Good. Let's continue the conversation.
That's a
Listen,
shame.
she's plugging it. Listen, she's standing up. She said, "Put him in the game, coach. Put him in the game. Put him on the team." All right. Mrs. Fowler wants to know also, being away from your family and dealing with groupies. Are groupies an issue at the collegiate level?
Absolutely.
And
I had a chance to go.
look at every level.
I had a chance to go to the Final Four, the NCAA Final Four in Houston when they had in Houston about a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
And coaches definitely have a life on the road and a life at home. And that's one of the reasons why the divorce rate is very high in sports, because you're never home. And it's just part of the culture. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it, but at that high level and all that money floating around, that goes on all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
But that's why it's very important to be involved in things that are healthiest for coaches. Like my coach told me two things before he retired. He said, "Mike, if you're going to do this at the college level, you need to do two things." And he said, you need to do marriage ministry once a year, and you need to be a part of a Black Coach Association. And he was white.
Now, why Black Coaches Association?
Well, because you're going to still deal with the racism no matter how high you make it, or how successful you become. So being at the Final Four, I went to the Black Coach Association. It was ran by Leonard Hamilton, Tubby Smith, Shaka Smart was there. All these big name college coaches, right? And so I'm sitting there. I'm a fly on the wall. They don't know who I am. I'm from, country boy from Brooksville. Right. I'm there. I'm listening to them, and you just pause for a moment. You're like, all these coaches are successful. Why are they still having issues? Well, it doesn't matter how successful we are. We're going to deal with it no matter how high up we go. So that taught me that there's no way of escaping it, but you need to make sure you embrace people that level so you can be mentored. So when you have to deal with it, you know how to function and operate.
Got it. Love it. That's great. I'm glad to see that there's some support like that.
Yep.
Cork said, with the perception of success comes temptations.
All the time. All the time. Because the it's almost like defense. Whenever you let your guard down, somebody's going to try to dunk on you. So you have to always be guarded. And if not, then you setting yourself up for failure. Yeah.
Oh, good point. Good points. So let's talk solutions or some things that can help our high performing Black athletes with this anxiety, right?
Sure.
So you and I talked about understanding the history of the sports, whatever sport it is, right?
Right.
How important is that?
Oh, very important, because no matter the sport you play, if you look at where sports started, Walter Camp was inventor of football. William Morgan, inventor of volleyball. James Naismith, inventor of basketball. All these inventors were all scholars. All of them went to school. All of them were educated. So that should tell you right there, sports is a privilege. So you need to understand that if you understand where the sport you love comes from, you got every ounce of your first initial step is the education piece, because your creators was educated. So therefore, how can you be anything less? You understand what I'm saying? So an athlete needs to know where the sport not only comes from, but also have a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Because everybody can't be the 1% to be professional as an athlete.
Right.
But to be a commentator or a ref or a coach in that particular sport, well, you got a 15 to 30% chance to be that. Because everybody's not getting in line to be that. Everybody wants to be the limelighted athlete, which is a 1% chance.
So y'all, he just gave y'all two solutions in one just now. I was gonna get to that one.
I'm sorry.
No, there is, so really it's 2 and 3, the business around the sport, right? So
Right.
so understanding that, and that there's more than that you can do if you just love that sport than just being the athlete
Right.
or the coach, right?
Correct.
It's a whole industry. And
Right.
all of those people, whether they are keeping the scoreboard or announcing or reffing or whatever, all of them people getting paid.
And they make very well.
Mm-hmm. They
Very
make
well.
good money, good money, good money. All right. Cork said one of the solutions was to teach your wife the game and make her your assistant coach.
Yes, if every coach thought like that, it would be great. And to attest to that, so what I did to make my wife a part of our team, my wife can sing, so I would have her do the national anthem. And so, and that birthed into, I had her sing national anthem for the Lakeland Magic, and then I also had her sing every semester for graduation at the college where I work.
Okay.
So I made her a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? So what he's saying is true.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So those are good. So athletes understanding the history of the sport and their purpose in the sport, right?
That's correct.
Also, one of the things that we did talk about too is what happens when the athlete gets injured and can no longer play, and maybe are feeling dejected or thrown away, or because now they were so used to being in the limelight, the spotlight, and being so lauded and applauded, and now nothing.
Right. It's very hard to just shut off those feelings of coming out of the locker room. You hear the crowd, you hear all this, noise and that atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you get one injury, and now all of a sudden you can't get those experiences anymore as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
The first response is because all you know is being an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not taught that there's more to it, then you don't understand what it means to be an athlete. See, an athlete can adapt in any setting, which means I'm an athlete, so that means I'm more than just a ball player.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just understand it from that perspective, that'll tell you that, hey, you're not going to feel that you can do anything different, because at that moment you want to try to do everything in your possible power to play again.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be real, if you're an athlete, it ain't nothing like playing.
Yeah.
It's nothing like playing at the highest level of your career, and you depend on your body to do it. And then all of a sudden, now your body has taken an injury, and now you can no longer perform at the highest level like you used to. It's almost like Bo Jackson. When Bo Jackson could do inhumanly possible things, then all of a sudden his hip goes out, right? He still could do it when he rehabbed back, but not at the same level. And then even he, as great as he was, had to take away from the game. But that's not only a lot of stress right there and trauma, but that's also a lot of depression too.
Yeah, Nick chimed in. He said depression and a loss of purpose.
Yes, sir.
Been there.
Yes, sir.
And he said it's a lonely and
it's a dark place now.
Yeah.
Very dark. And it takes people that have been there, done it, and have the vision to help bring people like us out. So if you look at, like I said before, I had a longer coaching career than I did as an athlete. Well, the reason, because of the drive of being an athlete and love for the game, had caused me to create a decade of, of coaching. Because again, it's the next thing to be an athlete.
Right.
So yeah, it's very tough.
Indeed.
And some athletes can't deal with it.
So is it Tua?
Oh yeah, I think he's a
NFL player.
Yes.
They let him go out and play when he already had a head injury.
Yeah.
And my sister's saying, yeah, man, Tua, shaking my head. So yeah.
And they do that sometimes but you got to remember, every athlete is replaceable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, yeah. Nick said that is until you realize that you've been trained to learn and the best. I think he meant be the best at whatever you do.
Yeah.
Um, Let me see. Yeah, Courtney said that's a poignant point because that's the other end of sports anxiety. Again, that whole thought around and the reality behind injuries that are, you're not going to recover from, or
No.
not be at the same level that you once were.
No. But then again, like I said in the beginning, the greater the trauma, a lot of players that have career ending type injuries sometimes still figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
I had, and not that I'm going to bring this up for the sake of the conversation, but my uncle, my dad, they have that gene where they can pick up anything. So they used to pick up like engine blocks, car engines, stuff like that. So we got a strong bloodline. But the thing of that is that, at some point, that goes away.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to keep that.
Not forever.
I thought I could. I thought I could play ball forever too. I swore I could.
Yeah.
But you just can't keep that type of ability for a long period of time.
So Courtney said, per Terrell, that's why education is so important. This is usually where the parents come in to instill the need to obtain education.
Yeah, that's true. But the only problem with that is I don't know how many parents are at home.
Yeah.
Doing that. But that is a definitely true statement.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Wow. Well, this has been great. This has been really great. So I see solutions as understanding the sport, the history of the sport, your purpose within the sport, knowing the business of the sport, and that there are other sports related jobs outside of being the athlete. Right?
Now, the one thing we didn't touch on is other like mental health type things. Like they need to be able to have some time to do some meditation, mindfulness, or some type of relaxation. Athletes go through a breaking point. Because you have to play with so much predication on winning, you have to have an outlet to get to relax. But we have to make sure we find things that are positive. A lot of people used to get on, Michael Jordan about gambling. Well, he had to play with a lot of pressure on winning. So that was his outlet.
Talk about some of those positive outlets.
All right. So mindfulness, meditation, fishing, which is one of my favorites. That's one of the most relaxingest things you can do. I mean, I grew up doing it. It was therapy for me. Why? Because it's quiet. There's nobody out there. There's no cell phones, just you, the water, and nature, right? So you have to find things to do, but also to maybe have a group that is there that you can relate to. Okay. The ones that got your interest at heart, that's not going to be posting stuff on social media. You got a confidential group that you could go to and get out and relax and yeah, have a good time every now and then, but to really just be able to sit down and talk so they can relate. And everybody you can't do that with, but it has to be people that have been there, done that, but also got your best interest at heart, and you can have those intimate conversations with them.
True.
You have to. If not, then you're going to be sitting there in an unfamiliar place dealing with these unknown feelings, and you just trying to wait on somebody to come help you understand what am I dealing with. Golf is a great one. Great one, Nick. I mean, I play golf and I play for fun, but it is relaxing. Yes. So you got to have some positive, relaxing outlets. Yes.
All right. He also said yoga.
Yep. That's another one. Tai Chi is another. Those are all in your meditation and relaxation capacity. So yes.
Mhm. Cork said exactly. The exposure to athletics teaches goal setting and discipline to achieve. After the game is over, the success comes when your ability to reappropriate that skill.
Okay.
Indeed. Agreed, agreed, agreed. And Mrs. Jones said prayer. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Yeah. All good stuff. All good
Absolutely.
stuff. Yes. So, do you have a book?
Yeah. So I wrote a book. It's like a little devotional. It's called "Motivating the Illustration of Faith in Basketball." It's
Okay.
on Amazon. I wrote that back in like 2000. Oh, I think it was 2012, 2013, something like
Okay. Okay.
that. And
And tell me the title one more time.
motivating
Mm-hmm.
illustrations of faith in basketball. So
Okay.
the book is kind of like taking the game of basketball and then related to how the church should be in basketball.
Okay.
So, for instance, a coach is no different than what a pastor should be, right?
Rhonda said ballet is really good for football players. Also, it's relaxing.
Absolutely. And I saw a lot of NBA footage where a lot of old school NBA players took ballet to become better ball players. So
Yeah.
she's right.
Yeah. I've seen that too. I've seen some footage like that as well.
Hmm.
Okay. So, motivating illustrations of faith in basketball. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. 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 So, you said we can get it on Amazon?
Yes.
Okay.
Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, any
Okay.
one of those.
Cool. 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 Nice. All right. Well, we are coming to our close. How can folks connect with you?
Um, they can email me. They can call me. I have social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well, and LinkedIn. But yeah,
All right. And I have it down at the bottom of the screen, the phone number, his email address. So definitely for your sports, your athletes, please connect with Dr. Micheal Jones. I really appreciate you being here today
thank you
and
for having me.
giving us this great information. All right. Oh, Court got the Amazon link up. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Big Mike.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, excellent show. If y'all found this to be beneficial, let us know in the comments. Give us some hearts, some hand claps, something. Let us know. And then for those of you again who are new to the platform, please subscribe to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel. Subscribing is supporting, and we need all the support we can get. Yes. This was a very, very interesting conversation, and I learned quite a bit. So I thank you so much for your time. You got anything coming up in the near future?
Not not that I know of, but again, like I said, it's a lot going on. I know we're doing a lot with like I said, with ministry. So we're doing some stuff with Fellowship of Christian Athletes and about to with Living the Life. And there's another component called 3D coaching.
Mm,
That's also a part of FCA.
okay.
So yeah, so we got some stuff coming up, but just have to stay tuned.
Nice, 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 nice. Well, thank you, Dr. Jones. Folks are chiming in. Loved it. Learned some good stuff. Good deal. Very great. Wonderful. So tag a friend. Let them know in the comments that they need to check out this conversation. Share the link with somebody, and y'all watch some of these episodes. I need some views out here on YouTube. Okay, check out the replay. Do the replay for me. Okay. I appreciate you, everybody. Dr. Ken's wife was on here tonight. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, Dr. Ken's a great guy.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Oh yeah,
he is. He's been on the show a couple times. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll have to have you come back as well, Dr. Jones.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Love to come back.
For sure. All right. We are here on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30. This coming Wednesday, we have Eric Stuman, and we're going to be talking about effective communication. He is out of the Tampa area. And so I expect to see you all right back here on Wednesday night at 8:30. All right. Cool. All right, good people. Well, you all have a great rest of the evening, and we will see you next time. Peace.